even back in medieval times, the beekeepers were always there to ensure the safety of the hive. Jesse Shade here for Awfully Good Movies on behalf of the JoBlo YouTube network, and we've got an update for you about Uwe Boll's upcoming comeback to filmmaking, set to star Armie Hammer, that was originally going under the title The Dark Knight, but after what Uwe Boll calls a friendly conversation with Warner Brothers, will now be going under the title Citizen Vigilante, which I'm surprised hasn't been used already as a title for a Jason Statham movie. But back in 2007, Uwe actually crossed paths with the bald British badass himself for yet another video game turned incomprehensible motion picture for this sword-wielding episode of Awfully Good Movies. With vaccines being administered against the COVID pandemic and theaters getting back into business alongside simultaneous releases on VOD, the 2021 summer movie season is hoping to be far brighter than last year's was. And only in theaters can you see the action-packed reunion of director Guy Ritchie and the bald British badass he helped make a movie star, Jason Statham, as he seeks to avenge the death of his son in Wrath of Man. Also, there happens to be a new Mortal Kombat movie that just came out, so this means I need a film to review that will meet both the requirements of bad video game movie and bad Jason Statham movie. And who should meet in that middle but the man whose face is seen at the end of every one of our Awfully Good episodes, at the bottom end of the enjoyableness continuum scale, Dr. Uwe Boll. Perhaps the most recognizable name in terrible cinema of the 21st century, thanks to his adaptations of video game properties which were ravaged by critics and audiences alike, but still made money for their director thanks to a tax loophole in the German film industry. With the pugnacious Boll often confronting his haters through angry rants over the internet and literal fights in the boxing ring with movie critics. However, Boll could not fight off the failure of his attempt at epic fantasy with In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege tale. For this adaptation of the Dungeon Siege series of video games, Uwe Boll was given a whopping $60 million budget to turn these action RPG adventures into a Lord of the Rings style franchise, starring a cast of fairly respectable actors, and Jason Statham as the reluctant hero who must save his medieval kingdom from being overrun by an evil wizard. But since Uwe Boll's name was at this point synonymous with terrible video game movies, the expectations for his latest movie were not exactly high. And In the Name of the King had Boll once again felled in battle by terrible reviews and pitiful box office. So let me see for myself whether this failed fantasy actually is one of the worst when it comes to both video game film adaptations and Jason Statham's filmography. And don't you worry, since Uwe Boll has retired from filmmaking for the time being, I am sure he will not bother fighting me in the boxing ring over yet another negative review of his movies. Now, if it was Jason Statham who wanted to fight me over this review, yeah, I would surely be dead. Please do not punch my head off my body, Jason Statham. I loved your voice work in Romeo and Juliet. Like in any video game, it's best that you stock up on life-restoring liquids before your final boss fight with the Awfully Good Drinking Game. Take a shot or drink every time that the movie switches suddenly from one storyline to another. The movie begins with evil wizard Ray Liotta in bed for a tutoring session with Lily Sobieski, where he's secretly sucking the life force from her body.
Each time we meet like this, I feel weak, I feel drained.
Perhaps that is what love does to a woman.
Then cuts over to John Rhys-Davies being snapped out of existence by Thanos and teleporting into a cave full of monstrous creatures.
May the gods save us.
And later cuts to King Burt Reynolds having dinner with Matthew Lillard as the King's men inform Burt that these monstrous creatures are wiping out their armies on the battlefield.
This is ridiculous. It's as if you were talking about armed dogs.
Why in the fuck should I care about any of this? What are these characters' names? What's their relationship with each other? This feels like binge watching Game of Thrones while your kid keeps pressing the fast forward button on your remote. But then the story focuses its attention towards our lead hero, Jason Statham, as he picks turnips from a garden alongside his son when the two of them are visited by their fellow villager, Norik, played by Ron Perlman, who rescued Statham as an orphan youngster and raised him in this village as his father figure.
King's recruiting. Soldiers get taken care of really well.
This land, isn't that enough?
Damn it, farmer, would it kill you to just talk for a little while? I mean, we're not animals.
And no, that's not Statham's nickname. He actually is playing a farmer who is named Farmer. Yes, I know that the video game has you playing an unnamed farmer that the player has to name themselves, but that is a stupid detail to get right from the source material. And it's even stupider when the name is explained by Farmer's wife, Solana, played by Claire Forlani.
Why do people call Father Farmer? Doesn't he have a name?
Your father believes that people become what they do.
So what, if Farmer's son grows up to become a stable boy, does that mean that Farmer is going to legally change the boy's name to Shit Shoveler?
I'm glad he has a family now. I'm glad it's us.
And I'm especially glad that neither of us is going to die for dramatic purposes. Being alive is the bestest. While Farmer's wife and son sell their crops over in the town of Stonebridge, Farmer is ambushed at his farm by the goblin-like creatures who are sweeping over the Kingdom of Ebb, known collectively as the Krug.
Krug.
Or as I like to call them, rubber suit monsters that were rejected from Power Rangers. The mindless Krug are working under the power of Ray Liotta as the evil wizard Galleon, who orders them around by mind-controlling the Krug's generals, aka the Not School, through some kind of medieval virtual reality system. The Oculus Rift of medieval times! But Farmer and Norik arrive to rescue the townfolk from the Krug, with Statham breaking out his nifty-swifty CGI boomerang, and Perlman able to blend in amongst the creatures with his giant misshapen face. Unfortunately, none of Statham's whoop-assery can save his poor son from being hunted down by Galleon and getting slaughtered off-screen, PG-13 style. Oh my god! I just stepped in dog shit back here! Oh, and I also found the corpse of my dead son. And as Farmer mourns his dead son by furrowing the shape of a bell curve into his forehead, his brother-in-law Bastian, played by Uwe Boll regular Will Sanderson, knows just how to put a smile on this big lug's face. With a childbearing contest. I can bury my dead son faster than you can. Nuh-uh, baby. I am the infant-burying king in this piece. Oh, it's on now, you motherfucker. So the attacked town is visited by the noble King Conread, which sounds more like the name of a 1940s band leader, played by the great Burt Reynolds, with the king inviting the townspeople to join his army and fight back against the Krug.
In my world, the king's arm is expected to protect the kingdom, not just the castle. The king has his armies on his walls. Those taken by the Krug only have us.
You tell him off, Statham. Any king whose plastic surgery makes them look like Caitlyn Jenner does not deserve the respect of his people. And seeing as Burt stopped giving much of a shit about his career after losing that Oscar for Boogie Nights, he is on full give me my goddamn paycheck already mode in this performance.
Your only job is the safety of this castle, which is guarded by no one!
And it certainly doesn't help when he's acting alongside perhaps the only actor who's fully committed to this garbage, Matthew Lillard, in the role of the sniveling Duke Fallow. The Duke is secretly working in cahoots with the evil Galleon to use his Krug army in usurping his uncle's throne for himself.
Things are progressing according to plan.
I cannot wait any longer!
Even if he has to throw a tantrum like a kid in a grocery store to make it happen! Lillard camps the ever-loving shit out of this role, drunkenly gadding about like Jack Sparrow and affecting the accent of a stereotypical British dandy.
It might behoove you to learn a little respect.
And the acting disparity between King Burt and Duke Shaggy is especially apparent after the two of them eat from a poisoned fruit bowl cooked up by Liotta. While Burt simply falls over unconscious like he took too many back pills, Lillard reacts to his poisoning by going full Dr. Smith from Lost in Space.
I suppose I may have tampered with the king's food.
You've poisoned me! You've killed me!
Don't be so melodramatic.
Oh, William! Oh, the pain! Ray Liotta, you gangrenous, gelatinous good fella, you had better give me the antidote to the poison flowing through my veins before I tell Jerry Seinfeld to punish you with a cameo in B-Movie! Meanwhile, Meanwhile, Farmer is traveling through the forest alongside Norik and, shit, I forgot this character's name already, Fake Witcher? So that the three men can rescue Farmer's wife from the grasp of the Krug, where they have just enough time for a badly executed moment of comic relief.
Well, that saved us a lot of time.
Oh, those knuckleheads. It's hard to believe that these three were burying a slaughtered child's corpse into the ground just 15 minutes ago. The big problem with Jason Statham here is that his role does not play to his strengths as an action movie star. He doesn't drive a car, he doesn't shoot a gun, and he's not trading jokes with bald muscle men named Dwayne or Diesel. Instead, both he and Ron Perlman struggle to bring any of their charm to this Diet Tolkien dialogue.
You know what people say. There are things in Sedgwick Forest.
People say God watches over the innocent. People say a lot of things that won't help us now, Norik.
And where most of Statham's movies have him as the central focus, this one has him fighting for screen time alongside the dozens of lifeless characters that keep getting introduced to this ensemble, such as the gang of forest nymphs who capture Farmer for trespassing in their woods, as led by Alora, played by Uwe Boll's former Blood Rain star, Kristana Loken.
We stay in the forest to avoid your wars and your contests and your mindless enterprise.
How dare you war-hungry men interrupt us in the middle of rehearsals for Cirque du Soleil's outdoor stage production of Wonder Woman.
Farmer and his crew try infiltrating the Krug's campsite to rescue Solana, only for Norik and Bastion to get captured and enslaved alongside Solana, while Farmer is separated from them to receive some special attention from Galleon.
I can read most men like reading scrolls of flesh, but you?
You, I can't see past your scowl. Why is that?
You know, Leota, maybe you wouldn't be getting your ass handed to you by Statham so much in this movie if you actually stuck to the evil Darth Vader deep voice, instead of switching back to sounding and coming off like Henry Hill dressed as Doctor Strange.
I got enough to worry about getting fucking whacked on the street.
I gotta fucking come home for this! I should fucking kill you!
Although I do appreciate you breaking out the signature Ray Liotta cocaine laugh. Truly, he does enjoy his work as a genocidal sorcerer. The man is living La Vida Liotta. Thankfully, John Rhys Davies arrives as the King's Magus, named Merrick, to revive the lives of both Farmer and the Poison King. As the revived King Conread is informed that Duke Fallow has fled the castle with 2/3 of the king's armies, who I guess were casually willing to commit treason against the king because they had nothing else to do that day.
How much time do I have?
Your life is coming to a close, but there is time enough.
We'll attack. First light.
Fetch me my Pontiac Firebird. We shall battle Duke Fallow in a cannonball run to the death. Call forth the armies of Captain Chaos. We fight in the honor of Sheriff Buford T. Justice! And since we need to give Lily Sobieski something to do here as Merrick's daughter, let's have her join this battle to assuage her suicidal guilt over letting Ray Liotta into her magic panties.
My father's up doing cruel stupidities. Kept him.
Taking your life would damage him further.
You're right, French model who got cast in this movie after sleeping with Uwe Boll. I must prove my strength to my father and don my white Mulan cosplay so that this movie can have yet another pointless storyline on top of the
100 other plot threads that we're barely juggling already. But we're not done stealing story elements from Lord of the Rings, such as revealing that the story's rugged hero is actually the heir to the king's throne, when Merrick tells his liege that he's rescued this simple farmer from death because Statham happens to be the grown-up child of the king, that the king thought had been murdered in a massacre 30 years ago.
This Norik found a boy about 3 years of age wandering in the battlefield.
You told me he was dead. You said they were all dead.
I have no father.
Well, aside from their noticeable difference in accents, Jason Statham is the perfect actor to play the son of Burt Reynolds. Both of them are famous for franchises where they drive cars. Statham would go on to star in a remake of Burt's 1986 movie Heat, and both of them are bald as sin.
What the hell does that mean?
Look, Burt, you're fooling nobody with that toupee. You can barely keep that thing glued onto your skull. But as much as Uwe Boll has failed already at trying to ape Peter Jackson, he fails the hardest when it comes to this movie's battle scenes. The battles here go on for an eternity, and both the shaky camera and quick cut editing will have viewers reaching for the Dramamine. On Duke Fallow's side of this battle, we have the monstrous Krug working alongside the sandworms from Tremors, and launching exploding boulders onto catapults, as well as themselves. Okay guys, launch me right at those bastards and I'll— wait, what are you doing? Oh god, I'm on fire! Nobody told me this would involve me being lit on fire! But on King Conrad's side, we not only have Jason Statham flipping through the air and hopping off of motherfuckers' heads, but we've got goddamn ninjas. Ninjas! Ninjas wearing cheap Black Panther masks that they bought from CVS. And also a guy dressed up as an old-timey archaeologist. Who the fuck let that guy on set?
Fight like dogs.
Yes, sir. Anyway, Duke Fallow aims his bow and arrow at the king and misses several times before he finally brings him down, with not a single one of the king's men noticing or trying to stop this obvious assassination attempt. Oh well, why should they give a shit about his death when the king himself clearly doesn't, since Burt Reynolds is wearing a black t-shirt during his death scene, which wouldn't have existed in medieval times. Did he get that shirt as a gift from Sir Fruit of the Loom?
Remember, when men build lives from honest toil,
Courage never fails.
When men build lives from honest toil.
Courage never fails.
I told it to my son when he was a little boy.
Do not mourn me for long, my son, for not only will you inherit my throne, but also the fabled Burt Reynolds mustache. But not my salt and pepper toupee. You make sure that you give my hairpiece to William Shatner. But not all the actors here act like they're just waiting for their paychecks to clear. John Rhys Davies actually treats this silly Lord of the Rings wannabe as if he was once again acting in Lord of the Rings. And Brian White does a solid job with the underwritten part of Commander Teresh. It's good to see some black representation in a fantasy movie for once, and his character is the only one brave enough to take on Matthew Lillard in a sword fight that'll bring down this overacting goofball.
King Conrad has died!
No, this cannot be.
I am your king!
No, you are cast to the throne!
Long live the king! Hip hip huzzah! Hip hip huzzah!
Dilly? When I say king, you say fallow? Come on, people, help me out here!
Our beloved King Conrad passed away. Murdered by his nephew, I give you your new king. The lost son of Conrad, Camden Conrad, known to some of you as Farmer.
And known to the rest of you as that bald dipshit with the head shaped like a peanut. Oh wait, what the fuck did they call me? Nothing. All hail King Dipshit Peanut Head! Oh shit, I just realized I forgot to mention what was happening with Ron Perlman and Claire Forlani. Well, Ron Perlman got killed by a prison guard, that brother-in-law guy got locked up with the Krug slaves, and Claire Forlani is now the personal prisoner of Ray Liotta.
How do you know me?
Don't move. I feel him in you. Because you're carrying his son.
Wow, this terrible editing manages to recreate the feeling of getting punched in the face by Uwe Boll without actually getting face punched by Uwe Boll. So after both Norik's daughter and the feminist tree nymphs volunteer to help defeat Galleon, Statham and his fellowship of the Bow Ring are off to break into the wizard's castle and retrieve Farmer's wife, with Merrick breaking out his teleportation power for only the second time in this movie to confront his fellow wizard in a duel of magic.
I knew you'd come, old friend.
We were friends once, but you have greatly changed.
But what do you do when your fight scene involves two middle-aged actors who can't sword fight for shit? Well, then you just have them stand in one place while they have badly rendered CGI sentient swords doing the fighting for them.
That still only counts as one!
And though it sounds exciting to hear that this movie's climax involves 3 fight scenes at once, of course Uwe Boll fucks this up as well. The rainy battle between Commander Teresh and the Krug army doesn't so much resemble the Battle of Helm's Deep as it does footage of a muddy mosh pit at Woodstock 94. And where do I begin to describe the silly-ass final fight between Leota and Statham?
Caused me a lot of worry, farmer.
After seeing Ray Liotta flying through the air like an old-ass Peter Pan, Martin Scorsese decided to take his name out of the running for the Jimmy Hoffa part in The Irishman. The effects here get even worse, as Liotta sweeps Statham up in a freaking book tornado and cuffs his hands and feet using books instead of shackles.
What manner of vengeance are you enjoying, farmer?
Finally, it's the gritty reimagining of the Page Master that we've long been waiting for. Then Lilu Dallas Multipaski, or whatever her name is, comes in to inherit the magic powers of her dead father and uses them against Leota, while Forlani stabs him in the back and Statham slices him across the throat. And thus ended the evil reign of Galleon, who must spend the rest of eternity living like a schnook, eating egg noodles and ketchup with Saruman in wizard hell. Thankfully, the one thing that this movie doesn't steal from Lord of the Rings is closing out with multiple endings. We don't see Statham finding out about his wife's pregnancy, we don't find out what's going to happen to the Krug now that Leota's no longer in charge of them, and we don't get an outtake reel of Burt Reynolds constantly falling off of his horse. And if you think that I'm going to find out whether there's a more satisfying ending in the 156-minute director's cut of this movie,
fuck yourself.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
None of the film's cast would return for either of Uwe Boll's 2 direct-to-video sequels in the Dungeon Siege saga, each of which starred Dolph Lundgren and Dominic Purcell as modern-day warriors who are transported to the Kingdom of Ebb through a magic time portal. But I am not terribly eager to sit through another 2 hours of Uwe Boll's badly edited vision of swords and sorcery. I can't say whether the movie is faithful to the games, but I can confirm that it's disrespectful to the principles of filmmaking. And while In the Name of the King is a terrible showcase for Jason Statham's talents as an action movie star, it is a fantastic demonstration of Uwe Boll's shortcomings as a filmmaker that offers just enough laughably terrible aspects to make it through its many slow stretches. Now, if you want to see Jason Statham in a good video game movie, I'll remind you folks that it is not too late to have him pop up in the next Sonic movie. I'm gonna take your Sonic and shove it up your Sonic ass. On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Boll to Bruce, In the Name of the King, a Star Wars story, proves that putting the transporter into a Game of Thrones style fantasy works just as much as casting a Game of Thrones actor as the transporter, and scores a critical hit point of 4 out of 10. Stay away from pulling swords out of stones, Mr. Statham, and stick to putting fist into rocks. I'm Jesse Shade for JoBlo.com, and thanks again for watching our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the JoBlo Videos channel. Tell all your friends who like this sort of content, and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest videos. We are an independent company that appreciates all of your support. One Uwe Boll movie for awfully good movies down, and several upon several upon several more to go.
Fucking each other in the asses.
Can I have some chicken, please?
Don't give it to him.
Give me the chicken. Arr, arr, arr.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.